All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen, for joining us. We're so happy you are here, and we are going to be asking some questions about your animal communication journey. And the first
Yeah.
question I have is, how do you feel you've changed over the years of being an animal communicator?
Okay, great. So, yeah, I guess with my how have I changed? I guess my journey is quite similar to most people. You have a dog or cat or animal and you fall in love with them and then your life has changed forever. So, how have I changed from the beginning when I started animal communication and now is I think back then I always felt like animals were different from humans. So we humans were one and animals were completely different. So, I mean, I don't like to say it loud, but I feel like it's important because it is a part. There was like a lack of respect for animals. Not that they were lower than us. It's just like I didn't understand that they had feelings like we had, or they had thoughts and emotions like we did. Um, and when we had our second dog, Happy, I did start to feel like, oh, is he bored? Is he lonely? Does he want to go out more? And every time I voiced that with my family, they would be like, oh, don't be silly. He's just a dog. He doesn't feel emotions. And I so desperately wanted to believe them because if he's not bored, I felt like he's bored, but actually he's not. Um, then I don't have to worry. But I'm so glad that I didn't listen to my family as much and trusted my intuition, and then I made the effort to take him out and things. But over the years, so Happy passed away in 2007. So my communication journey started in 2005, so a couple years before he passed away. So in the last like 17 years, the way I've come along is like having more respect for animals so that I look at them as beings with feelings and emotions. And yeah, and then having more of a conversation with them. So when I learned animal communication in the beginning, it was like, so my Reiki teacher taught me animal communication. So she taught me using Reiki symbols. And so the way she taught me was, okay, you're going to sit here and whatever you get, you write it down, and that's the message from the animal. And that's all I did. And if someone asked me a question, it would be like a major panic, like they've asked me a question that's not even come up in the reading and I'm not good enough and things. So yeah, so how I've evolved. So I think um, I met, I joined Joanne's group and mentoring program at the same time in September. So I think since September onwards, my growth has, so basically it was like this. And then since September, it's been like that. And so I feel now I have a lot more respect for the animals. I'm, I am beginning to understand nature more and their role around us. And I think as a child, I also felt like nature was important. It's part of us, they're speaking to us. But it was just the lack of trust. I just didn't trust. And then, even when you gave such beautiful messages in your interview, I would often feel messages like that come to me. And I would often disregard them as like, I'm making it up. It's not true. It's not real. This materialistic world that we live in is the real thing. And the people who want to go out for parties and eat in expensive restaurants and go on fancy holidays, that's real. But these beautiful words of wisdom, oh no, that's just hocus pocus. So I think in the last few years, I'm also starting to develop and trust those messages that come through and listen to my environment a lot more. So whenever I've been in a difficult situation and I perceive it as being, oh my God, it's the end of the world, which I do quite often, I'm starting to look around nature and listen and see like, okay, it's not the end of the world and things, it's not as bad as you perceive it to be, and just listen. And then I always get signs in some way or the other. I'll read something, I'll overhear something, or I'll just feel it in my heart like, don't, it's everything's going to be okay. So yeah, in terms of how I've grown, is from a lack of respect and not trusting to trusting myself so much more and having respect for nature and animals around us.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about how you communicate with animals and your style of communicating?
Um, so yeah, initially it was, I guess, I was like clairsentient, so I would feel things in my body a lot more. And then I also had a sense of knowingness. I didn't know that a sense of knowingness was a thing back then. It was like I just knew. But I did have a huge trust factor. So am I really, if I'm feeling it, there's no proof that I know this. So there was a huge trust factor. And I wish I had someone like you when I was growing up. And then at least if I was told, like, trust yourself, I would have grown a lot deeper at a younger age. So now it's more like I have been working on a lot of my clairs. So um, I need to meditate for a few minutes. I need to burn the Palo Santo. That's so important to me. And then I'm just sitting and connecting with the animal. I use my Reiki symbols. And then I am clairvoyant, so I can see images in my mind's eye. I'm clairaudient. I can hear messages loud and clear. And it's also just over the last few years, I've learned to recognize my thinking and the animal or the guides or the angel's voice, and a sense of knowing and clairsentient feeling things in my body. And then I just tend to write everything down and then make a story of it afterwards. So that would be my style. Yeah.
I see. So what area of animal communication are you drawn to?
So the area that I feel very passionate about at the moment is I've had two dogs in my life that I would say were mine. So my first dog was called Brownie, and we only had him for 3 months, and he tragically passed away 3 months later in a car accident. And I was 12 years old, and the grief that I went through at that time was quite unbearable. But I didn't understand that it was grief that I was going through. I just didn't understand anything really. And there was no support system around me to tell me that, not in terms of people, okay, people as well as materials, and there was no social media then as well, to say that this is grief and it's okay to feel this pain and it's normal. My parents also didn't know how to deal with the grief because they were grieving as well. It was because he died in a car accident so suddenly, it was unexpected. So there was a lack of support, which I wish I had. And then, so that's my first dog. And then my second dog, Happy, the last 3 years of his life were so difficult for me, not because of him, but just because of my fear. He became blind, he was diabetic, he had heart issues. I was in a position where I had moved to another country, and he was in Hong Kong and I was in India. And I just felt so much anxiety. And I wish that at the time someone told me that my anxiety is because he's missing me. And I would go back to visit him. And when I was next to him, I felt so peaceful. But I just I couldn't make sense of what I was feeling. Like, why am I feeling peaceful in this country and anxious in that country? It just didn't make sense. And I finally found an animal communicator back in 2005. So that's when my journey started. And she was like, she validated everything I was feeling about Happy. So I told her, like, I feel like Happy misses me. I feel he's depressed, he's bored, he needs more stimulation. And everything I voiced to my family, they just kept disregarding me. But she was like, no, he is bored, he's missing you, he needs stimulation. And so let's try and work on it. So then we worked together for a couple of years, and then she's the one who asked me to take Happy to India with me. And that was the scariest journey of my life, because I can barely look after myself, let alone look after another being who doesn't have the ability to speak for himself. And I felt like I have to guess what he's saying, not without realizing that he's constantly communicating with me. So she was this huge support for me for 2 years. Like she was by my side. Every time I was afraid, she reassured me. Every time I felt anxious, she reassured me. She was so kind. And so what what I want to, how I see my role is like, if there are other people who are suffering the way I suffered with their pets, only because they're afraid, they don't trust themselves, they don't have a support system, they don't know what to do, or they have answers within themselves, but they're afraid to tell people around them. I want to be the support, because when you love your animals so much and you only want the best for them, that's what I want to do. I want to come in there and say, yes, what you're feeling is right. I want to validate their feelings. I want to hold their hand and help them through the difficult moments they have with their animals.
It's so beautiful, and it's really necessary. I know a lot of people need that support. The people I've
Yeah,
interacted with before, a lot of people around them just don't understand, or it's just a dog,
yeah,
not only grieving, but, being separated from their animal or not understanding what's going on. There is
yeah,
a lot of people needing such support, I feel.
yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So I know that you are in the midst of teaching an animal communication course workshop.
Yeah.
Could you perhaps talk to us a little bit about that and how it's been for you?
Yeah. So I am in the midst of it. So we've it's a 4 session course, and we've done 2 sessions so far. And it's nothing short of magic. So I think Verena mentioned in her talk about magic space, and once I heard her talk about that, that's exactly how I feel about the workshop. An acquaintance got in touch with me to ask if I could teach her, and I was like, she has access to so many teachers. Why was she asking me? And what can I possibly offer her? Um, she asked me 2 or 3 times before I went ahead and agreed to do it, and we reached an agreement where we would do it according to her timing, and then I would advertise it. And even if no one else signed up, it would be me and her. So I went through it, and then I took really baby steps. So I planned the curriculum, and then I advertised it, and then yeah, I'm happy to say there were a few students. But what the magic space was is because I planned the curriculum as an outline, but when I actually sat down to plan the workshop, my PowerPoint presentation, how I'm going to go about it, all these ideas just kept popping into my head, but in a very organized way, like in a very step by step. So I got my introduction ready, and I was mentally thinking, okay, this is the next thing. But an idea would pop into my head, which was really beautiful. I'm like, okay, actually, that should be the next thing. And then I'd keep working on it. And then another idea popped into my head. And then I planned like the 3 sessions. And it was nothing like what I had planned in my curriculum. And when I looked at my curriculum, it was so basic. It was quite shallow comparatively to what came out of it. And I just felt so blessed, for one. And secondly, it's like, Helen, this is what trust means. You're hearing the guidance and you're applying it, and this is trust. So you just, and the more you go with it, the more peaceful I felt, and the more aligned I felt with what I was doing. And this is right, and it's exactly meant to be this way. So yeah, it has been quite a magical process and a huge learning for me as well. So
That is so
yeah,
wonderful. I'm so happy
yeah,
for you.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
So what advice would you have for people starting out on their animal communication journey?
Okay, so I think my advice would be quite similar to yours. Is like, I truly believe every single person, or 99.9% of the people on this planet, have the ability to communicate with animals and nature as well. And I would love to like put on very early on in anyone's learning journey that not to separate animals and nature, and as much as they can to try and have them side to side or together. Um, it's trust. I know that I did not trust myself in the beginning when both my dogs, Brownie and Happy, were speaking to me. And I just really want to drill into everyone that just trust yourselves. Your animals are speaking to you all the time. And we just need, like you said, it's a muscle. You just need to work the muscle, develop the muscle, practice, and you can only get better and better. I think today with social media and internet, I mean, we have access to so many resources. There's so many animal communicators out there, so many animal communicator teachers out there. And what I'm teaching in my course also is like, even though, let's say in Joanne's group, we're 50 animal communicators in her group, each one of us is unique, and each one of us has something unique to offer to the world. It's important, it's special that we have. So not to think that, oh, there are like so many animal communicators out there, what do I have to offer? Everyone has something to offer, and just to look around, check out the different teachers out there. Who do you resonate with the most? And so I think there was something else on the group which I saw, which is a quiz that Louisa had put on. So maybe an introverted person would resonate more with an introverted animal communicator, but an extroverted person might resonate more with an extroverted animal communicator.
Yeah.
It doesn't make anyone wrong or less. It's just what we are. And just to trust that maybe there's one world famous animal communicator, but you can't resonate with her, and one that's not so famous and you can. Not to question yourself, because maybe there's something you need from that person. So
yes,
just to trust that. And so that would be my advice to people starting out on their journey.
Yeah, and I ditto that. I think that is absolutely correct. I've learned animal communication from a variety of teachers, and I have received wisdom from each and every one of them. So the more animal communicators there are on this planet, the better it is for the animals, really.
Sure, yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think my mantra, which has been in the last 8-9 months, is just like trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. Clear your mind and trust yourself. And we have all the answers we need within us. So,
yes,
yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was very beautiful. You can find Helen on Instagram at Animal Whisperer 555. And if you'd like to find out more about her and her services. So thank you. It's been an honor interviewing you, and a pleasure as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sherry. I really enjoyed speaking with you about this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, pausing.